Hi, guys. I'm Sara. As Christian said, I'm a junior here at Tech. I'm studying environmental policy planning, and I co-lead Grace and Granola with Taylor. It's an environmentally focused engaged group. Okay. So when Christian asked me a couple weeks ago to share about where I was trusting the Lord, where I was putting my faith in Him, or where I was flourishing, I was like, oh, this is easy. Like, I'm not going through a storm. Everything's cool. I'm going to talk about how the Lord has provided me in the past. And then, as God usually does, He was like, just kidding, Sara. Let's throw you into a storm. So, story time. This week was pretty rough for me and past the last weekend. If I could sum it up into 4 words, it would be, I am not enough. Situation after situation, the Lord was testing me, and I just wasn't showing up. I wasn't following through. I wasn't being gracious enough. I wasn't kind enough. I wasn't strong enough. I just wasn't being enough. And I really couldn't catch a break at all. I mean, even one of my best friends from home texted me, and she was like, Sara, do you even love me anymore? And I was like, ooh. And then I broke. Literally, I was in a Dago, having a cup of coffee, and I was crying alone. It was embarrassing. It's fine. So later on in the week, I was reading Hebrews 12, and it says, God corrects us throughout our lives for our own good, giving us an invitation to share His holiness. Now, all discipline seems to be more pain than pleasure at the time, yet later it will produce a transformation of character, bringing a harvest of righteousness and peace to those who yield to it. And guys, I believe this, and not just because it's some straight truth from the Bible, but I've seen the Lord move in this way in my life before. So one thing that I was kind of originally going to talk to you guys about was my baptism. I was baptized as an infant in the Catholic Church way back when, but last semester I really felt the Lord calling me to be baptized again. And I was super, super confident in this decision to completely surrender my life to Him. But then I had to have the conversation with my very devout Catholic parents that I was going to be baptized for a second time in a river, not with the Catholic Church, and by one of my best friends. And as you could imagine, it went pretty terribly. I was sitting in my living room talking to my dad, telling him how much I appreciated him raising me in a Christian home and how his walk with the Lord really inspired my walk with the Lord as well, and how much I loved him. And I wanted this to be a moment of celebration and not a failure as a daughter. And it was silent, and my mom was like, Jay, this is when you're supposed to say something back to her. And he just looked at my mom and was like, I have nothing to say to her. So I walked into my baptism weekend kind of crushed, knowing that my parents weren't going to be there, and that I was letting my Father on earth down. But I knew I would make my Father in heaven proud. So guys, just like in Hebrews 12, the Lord came through, and He provided, and I got a call that morning from my parents, and my mom and dad were driving to Radford to the river to watch me get baptized. And as I was submerged into the water, I literally could hear the Lord, and He was just like, Sara, I'm proud of you. And then I walked out of the water, and I ran into my dad's arms, and he said to me, Sara, I'm proud of you. And even through all of that, I could just feel the blessing, and not just for myself, but it was just such a glorifying moment for the Lord. So I'm telling you guys this story because looking back, I can see how the Lord was refining me and teaching me the importance of being an obedient child of God. And it was hard, and it was scary, but in the end, I was blessed, and the Lord was glorified. And so that's what gives me hope now, knowing that God has faithfully provided for me in the past. And so right now, even though I'm walking through this storm in the midst of the flames and in the midst of the fires, it's really hard, and it's painful, and I'm messing up, and I'm not enough. But God is teaching me something really, really, really important. And I know that whatever comes out of this is going to be a blessing to me, but even more importantly, it's going to be glorifying to my Father. So as important as it is for us to celebrate these harvests and the flourishing that the Lord blesses us with, it's just important to acknowledge the painful fires that come before them because God is just as present in those fires as he is in the flourishing. And he's not just present when we're in the flourishing. He's present at all times. So he's with me right now. He was with me yesterday, and he's going to be with me tomorrow. And in all of the spaces that I'm not enough, he fills them because he is enough yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So that is my snapshot. Thanks for listening.